Hello, hello. First of all, apologies if my voice sounds a bit slurry. I just got back from the dentist and I've still got some anesthesia in my mouth, so it's a bit numb basically, so I might be slurring some words. Apologies for that. Anyways, as part of my low tier ships series, I decided to include the Karlsruhe into this commentary, or into this series basically. The Karlsruhe is an awkward ship. It's what I call a transitional ship. Much like the Pensacola and the Furutaka, for example, these are transitional ships where you move from a light cruiser to a heavy cruiser, and it teaches you a new type of playstyle. The idea behind the Karlsruhe is that it teaches you to be more of a scavenging type of, basically you have to be careful engaging in combat, you have to wait for other people to engage in combat and then support them. You're more of a supportive cruiser. You're not good at engaging anyone 1v1 except for basically ambushing them. But ultimately the Königsberg is much better at teaching this lesson because the Karlsruhe doesn't have the strengths to back up this type of style, because it lacks the shell velocity and the penetrative power of the guns and basically the range to be able to play this style effectively. The biggest issue is that it has to get so close to be able to actually make use of its strengths, which is the heavy hitting AP shells that hit for 3.7k if you use Citadel. The problem is you have to get very, very close to use them. Now, of course, what I'm displaying here is the optimal firing angles for the Karlsruhe. You have 150mm guns, and if you fire not at full broadside but slightly forward, you can use 6 guns to fire 650mm guns, which is a lot of potential damage if you manage to land those shells. But usually it leaves yourself quite vulnerable to be able to use these guns. And in general, you want to avoid being the first guy in. You always want to avoid. You never want to be the first guy into a cap, the first guy crossing, going around a corner, the first guy at anything. The Karlsruhe is awful at being the first guy because the engine tends to break a lot, and in general you have very little HP and you're very fragile. It's just not a good spot for you to be. Let someone else take the hit. In this case, this Wyoming is taking the hit, so I'm gonna see if I can basically get some pot shots of possibly the DD or whatever that's in B. It has to be a DD since it was capped. There it was. But in general, you want to play very, very safe in the Karlsruhe, much like you do in the Königsberg. But the difference is, of course, that the Königsberg has both the shell velocity and the range to be able to be much more efficient at this role. So that's why the Karlsruhe is quite weak, is because the strengths it has, which is the heavy AP damage, are not strong enough to offset its weaknesses. Whereas on the Königsberg, you have such great range and such great shell velocity that you can be fragile and basically a bad dueler per se, but you're still able to be efficient thanks to your heavy range and basically heavy damage you can deal from afar. But that's not to say that the ship is a complete disaster. I mean, it's a weak ship, don't get me wrong, the Karlsruhe is definitively probably the weakest German ship out there. But it's not the end of the world, because as I said, it still has strengths. And these strengths, well, first of all, we have the hydroacoustic. You get the German hydroacoustic. I made a guide on how hydroacoustic works, if you aren't aware of how strong of an ability that is. Especially now with the Kamikaze event over, you see a lot of DDs in this tier. So having a hydroacoustic is very, very, very useful, and it makes you quite good at hunting them down when they try to hide in smokes and such. So it's a very strong ability. And second of all, your AP damage, as I mentioned earlier. I'll hopefully be able to demonstrate it quite well here, what I mean with the potential it has. It gives you glimpses of what you're going to get in the Königsberg, but it doesn't quite unlock it because, well, you can see on the minimap that white circle represents my detection range and that dotted circle represents my firing range. So the reason why this is such a bad ambusher at this tier is basically you can never get close enough to fully utilize your AP before you're detected. You can use your HE sure, but I mean there are times like here you can see hints of what's to come when you're shooting AP at the New York and you're getting some really good penetrative hits like here. But it's quite not strong. It's quite not there yet. As I said, it's a ship in transition. Now, the first time I played this Karlsruhe, I thought it was a bit of a disaster. But now that I rebought it and played it again, it's not actually as bad as I first thought. Yes, it has its weaknesses, but it's not a ship you have to automatically free XP. I think that's a bit extreme. It struggles the most when you get matched up, as I'm here basically against T5s, but it's actually very, very strong if you get matched up against T3s and T4s, which also happens just as often. It's, once again, it's not a ship that you can carry with, like you can, for example, in Omaha or something similar. It's much harder to carry in this because your dueling capabilities are simply not there. Here I show an example of this ambushing style. This Tenryu is fighting this Myogi, so this is basically my chance to ambush him, use the ship to its strengths, which is loading AP, using my optimal firing angle, already have my guns turned, already aimed at him, and now when he's turning I get access to his citadel, and this ship, this Tenryu, this full HP Tenryu, well, he disappears. That's how simple it is. But he's gone. Where did he go? The Tenryu is gone. He got instantly deleted. That's the strength of this ship. So you just have to play the ship very carefully, but if you manage to get ambushes on cruisers with this ship, then you see the hints of basically of what's to come. Hell, it gives hints of the Hindenburg, because that's very much what the Hindenburg is like. It ambushes cruisers and absolutely destroys them. The ship gives the very same like indications, but it's just not quite there yet. I'm trying to see if my AP can plunging fire can pen this Wyoming, get some damage done. I'm hoping this Myogi in front of me will take basically some of the heat and allow me to cap. Now you see the plunging fire is not working against him. I'm taking some heavy hits from this Kuma, which is bad. I want to close the distance, as I said. I'm starting to get fairly close now, and he's giving broadside. These are optimal situations for the Karlsruhe. Not getting a citadel though, and he's ducking behind the island. As soon as he ducks behind the island, I use my repair, because now I know I can't be set on fire again. And basically by the next, hopefully by the time I see him again, my repair will be up, or close to being up. That's the only time I recommend repairing only one fire, is when you know that there's going to be a break in the fighting and you're not going to be set on fire immediately afterwards. Now I'm challenging this Kuma straight on, because Kuma is a very lightly armored ship. While it is significantly stronger than the Karlsruhe, it is still very lightly armored, and once you have made it to this distance that I'm now, aka fairly close to him, I am confident in my ability to basically destroy him with my AP. And as you see, once I start landing citadels, he was full HP when I started, but now you've already seen basically half his HP is gone. And as soon as I start getting some citadels in, these huge chunks of his HP just disappears. Not quite yet, he's angling well. I need to get closer to the island. I got a lot of people shooting me. This is a terrible position for me, so I need to get closer, make use of my AP, because as soon as I can make use of this sheer firepower that this ship has, then, well, you can see what happens. He disappears once again. It only took 2 citadels and the third there, and he instantly disappeared. So the ship has strengths. It's not simply made out of weaknesses, and that's something I think people need to recognize. So, yes, it has huge glaring weaknesses, but the strengths are there. You just have to play very carefully to make use of them. Okay, this is awkward. This is enemy Karlsruhe, but he's turning away. I have 4k HP. Why is he turning away? Is he gonna angle back from me now? No, he's straight up fleeing. I'm on fire. I have 2000 HP and he is running. I am honestly confused. Why not just rush me down and secure the kill? I think people are I think that's the problem with the Karlsruhe. Like he plays it, he's too cautious with it. There are situations where, of course, this is a ship you have to be cautious with, but as I've shown here, there are times when you need to basically go balls in and make use of the strength, aka the firepower that the ship has. And this guy obviously is too used to being careful, so he missed out on the kill because I made it out, and since I stopped shooting, I'm also undetected. So he kind of blew his shot at getting a kill there, simply because he was too afraid to engage me. Anyway, there's not really much else happening in this game. Basically, we cap every single point and they insist on fleeing. I've never really fully understood the mentality behind that. Like, why do you, if you're losing, why do you flee? It's not going to change the situation. Your only chance is pushing in and making a play. Fleeing is not going to heighten your chances of winning. But that's a mentality I've never really understood. But maybe that's just me. Anyways, since there's not really going to be much happening in this game, I'm not just gonna skip right till the end. And here we have the end. I ended up second, not surprising. Honestly, damage-wise, a bit over 60k. Nothing special, I was against T4s, T5s. But considering it's a Karlsruhe, it's not really that bad. And as I said earlier, this is not a carry type ship, but it's a support ship. So weak, yes. Something you have to free XP? No, I don't think so. Anyway, moving on to the modules. The first thing I think you should go for is the range. Even though your AP won't be very useful at this range, you'll at least still have the option to spam HE, which is decent simply for the fires. Like, your chance to set fires isn't that high, it's only 10%, but still it's better than nothing, and it's a source of damage, which is always good. Any sources of damage are good, and being able to spam some fires on battleships is never a bad thing. Second, of course, the hull, and the torpedoes if you want to. Honestly, it gives you some damage and some range, which is both nice things, but you only have 2 torpedoes. That's the thing. Like, if you don't want to waste XP and money on this, don't. It's definitively not a necessary upgrade. The problem is simply you have these 2 torpedo launchers here, and you launch 2 torpedoes per side. And I guess if you manage to rush a battleship, yes, they hit fairly hard, 11k each, but it's not really that big of a deal. These torpedoes are quite weak. I very rarely actually score any hits with these. So honestly, I'd probably just save the XP to go straight for the Königsberg, which is a vastly superior cruiser in every single way. I obviously use the premium repair, simply because having a 90-second cooldown on the Karlsruhe is, in my opinion, completely insane, because your engine breaks every now and then, and having it broken and having to wait 90 seconds is a guaranteed death sentence. So premium repair, go for it. Well worth it in my opinion. Upgrade wise, I just have the gun battery upgrade, and I have the damage control system. This is mostly because I mean the propulsion mod would probably be the best option for the Karlsruhe, but for the following cruisers you very rarely lose your engine. So this would basically be something you'd end up replacing with damage control system anyway. So if you want to just plan ahead, just get damage control system like I have. Captain perks wise, well, I have 8 points on this guy. I think I'll be switching him around, using it on different ships, but the primary is situation awareness, letting you know if you're detected. Turret traverse, making the best use of your guns. For your 4th point, I'd get basic firing training, since it simply buffs your current guns, and you're gonna have a free respec when 0.5.3 comes out, because then these 2 will probably be useless for the Karlsruhe. I actually worry in what kind of shape this ship will be then. It's already quite weak, and if it's not getting any significant buffs in 0.5.3, then this is really going to be a struggle of a ship. But anyways, until then, I'd recommend situation awareness, secondary basic firing training, and expert marksman. Now, I actually prefer superintendent for the German line, because you want another hydroacoustic surge consumable. It's a fantastic consumable that if you get used to using it, you will understand the simple strength it has. I also have ship survivability simply because it helps with engine problems, fires, everything. Anyway, that was my short but hopefully sweet Karlsruhe commentary. I hope you enjoyed it.